Hello, Star Wars fans. I do want to talk about the Episode 9 trailers that have come out. I don't want to get specific into the trailers because I think a lot of people have already seen them. And I saw them as they got uploaded to YouTube. And unfortunately, I'm not that impressed. I mean, it's the same stuff we've seen before. These movies are pretty much a reincarnation of the original trilogy, told with different characters being the main, protagonists and stuff like that. And it makes me feel like, they should have just done a true sequel, even though George Lucas still owns some of the rights to the original trilogy cast members or the original trilogy story or something. He didn't fully sell Star Wars to Disney like I thought he had done. And, if Disney didn't want to, give George Lucas any royalties, then they should have just gone way into the future and not reference Vader or Luke or anything. Just have totally brand new characters, new story, whatever. But they wanted to have it both ways. It's kind of like Google. They want to be a publisher and a platform at the same time and take the best of both worlds and get rid of the worst of both worlds, And at some point they're going to have to make a decision, hopefully. But that's what Disney's trying to do, or in Lucasfilm. They're trying to have the best of both worlds. They want to have some kind of reimagining, reboot, sequel. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do an amalgamation like that at all. But unfortunately they have. And this is the result. And as far as my take on Rey, I do like the character. I just don't like the direction that the people up at the top are taking this character, like Kathleen Kennedy and the writing staff at Lucasfilm. Because I think you've got more women on the writing staff than men. I think it's like 10 writers and 2 of them are men. The rest are women, something like that. So there's no equality. It's not 5 women, 5 men. No. You got to have majority women. And this is Kathleen Kennedy's power fantasy. She's more focused on women being directors and actresses and being the main protagonist than anything. And it's not about a good story. It's about pushing these agendas. And this is what people are getting tired of.
You're a monster.
I don't hate Rey. I don't even hate Daisy Ridley at all. But I don't like the direction they're taking these characters. These characters should not have been the main focus. It should have been Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, the droids, and they should have finished out the sequel trilogy with the original cast members and have these characters in it, but that's not the main focus. And then they could have gotten their own trilogy down the road. But that's not what they've done. And Rey being such an uber force wielder, she has no equal. That's the problem. And I don't care if she is supposedly kin to the Palpatines. I don't care. That doesn't give her instant access to Force lightning or the ability to trounce her enemies. I'm sorry. Emperor Palpatine was not the most powerful Force wielder out there. He just knew a lot. And he knew all the lightsaber styles. But Rey is better than Anakin or Luke ever were at the same age. Why? They're even creating a comic that's going to be like, I guess, a prequel to the Rise of Skywalker that is going to show her being a one-woman army. She's a lot better than what we've seen before, and there's no rhyme or reason for it. Like I say, I don't care if she's kin to the Palpatines. I don't care if she's a reincarnation of Anakin. I don't care if she's, another Jesus birth. I don't care. Anakin was the chosen one. You have the chosen one, not you have a chosen one every generation. But Disney could write that in there. I think they're trying to do that without saying it. That's what I think is happening. And I despise it. And that's what makes me hate Rey. But I shouldn't. But it's the direction of the characters that I don't like. They're not really fleshing these characters out. I don't even know what Rey's motivations are at this point. She wanted to know who her family was. She wanted to get, in touch with them. And then she finds out her family is nobody. So what is her motivations now? Why is she still on the side of good? Why isn't she just doing her own thing and says, I'm not going to get involved in this. I'm going back to Jakku and I'm going to be a scavenger. Why not? There's nothing there. Same thing with Finn and Poe. And when you see scenes like this with Kylo Ren approaching Rey, we've seen this before. Rey is going to beat him. She has beat him every time they've squared off. Kylo Ren is not the most compelling villain. He had some promise, with him being pulled by the light side, but he was sidelined by Snoke. Then he takes Snoke down, and now he's going to be sidelined by the Emperor. He's not a compelling villain. He never rose to being, the next Palpatine. Never. And he won't. What he should do in this scene here is he should have a bullhorn in his offhand and be serenading Rey with that song that Prince did years ago, Nothing Compares to You. The one that Sinead O'Connor redid. That's exactly what he should be doing, because nothing compares to Rey. I mean, when you look at this kind of illustration, I mean, when they're pushing this kind of propaganda, the square peg through the circle, and they don't care how much backlash they get. They know the backlash will eventually phase out, and they'll eventually get this square peg through that circle, and if they do it enough times, it wears off the edges of the square peg, and it'll go in that circle just like it was meant to go there. I mean, if we realized that it was going to take 20 years of fighting the Lucasfilm and Disney to get them to finally do Star Wars films right, do we have that kind of fight in us? Are you out there, you going to fight for 20 years? Are you going to teach your kids to fight Disney and Lucasfilm on this stuff? Are you going to teach your grandkids? Or is this kind of a phase? We might do it for a couple of years and then we don't mess with it anymore. You see what I'm saying? How long will the fandom menace last? How long has it lasted so far? And will it last, let's say, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? Because it may take that long to fight companies like that and get them to start focusing on telling good stories with compelling characters. Same thing with the video game industry. I mean, if you combine Young Yeah, Angry Joe, The Quartering, and Legacy Killer HD's fan bases, and they don't like half the egregious video game practices out there, like the micro or macro transactions that are happening. You combine all those audiences, they still can't stop that runaway freight train. We're going to get these egregious practices. They know that the backlash is not going to last very long. No matter what they do. That's the reason why they keep pushing this kind of stuff. Hollywood pushes the LGBT agenda, and there's no disclaimers on any of these shows. I know because I've watched some of these shows. There's no disclaimer that says, viewer discretion advised. And these characters are LGBT. So LGBT stuff is normal now. Used to not be. They should have a disclaimer on the show. Because this is not what I would consider normal. I'm sorry if that hurts somebody's feelings, but it's not normal. It takes a man and a woman to naturally have children, or a woman and a man to naturally have children. There is no other thing that you can say about that. To naturally have children, you have to have a man, woman, woman, man. Two females nor two males produce children. Understand that. But you can want one hand and crap in the other one and see which one fills up first, as my grandmother would say. Here's another thing that Hollywood and sometimes the video game industry does, especially when it comes to stories that they may tell, where the person at the top, that would be either women or people of color. And the person at the bottom, that would be either white people as a whole or just men as a whole. So in order to get one to rise to the top, you have to degrade the other to make them look less than. That's a problem. Everybody's been complaining about it. Hollywood is basically saying that in order for women to rise, they have to degrade men because women are not men's equal. That does a disservice to you. That does a disservice to us men as well. In order for black people to rise, you have to degrade white people. Well, are you not on the same level as us? Do you look at yourself as beneath us? I don't think you do. I don't think women look at themselves as beneath men. So basically, Hollywood is the racist. They're the sexist. And they try to cleanse themselves by saying, mud diversity. And they're trying to force feed us this diversity. That's the problem. And people are getting sick and tired of it. That goes back into the pushing the square peg through the circle again. It's a constant barrage of this stuff. It's the reason why you see the Force is female. When did it have a gender? I mean, I just think the Force is what it is. It's not male or female. It doesn't replicate. It doesn't do anything like that. I mean, what are we talking about here? And this is the reason why Luke can never train Rey. That would have made the most sense. But you cannot have a man who is more experienced teach a woman how to do anything. How many of you women out there have had a man teacher, whether it be math, English, PE, whatever? How many of you have had that? You know, I'm not a woman, but I have had women teachers. So is that sexist? If a man teaching a woman is sexist, then would a woman teaching a man be sexist? No, evidently not. Because a woman should be able to teach a man. A woman is better at men at everything when she's born. You can run longer, faster, you're stronger, you're smarter, you just have everything handed to you. Here's the keys to the world, ladies. You're better than us. And that's the reason why you'll have Rey being taught by Leia. A woman can teach a woman, but a man can't teach a woman. A woman can teach a man, and that's okay. A man can teach a man, but you cannot have a man teaching a woman. And then don't even get me started on this part in the trailer. 3PO says, I want to look at my friends one last time. His friends were Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, and maybe Lando and people like that, but it wasn't these characters. And on top of that, they have, was it her name, Kerry Russell's character? I don't even know what the name of the character is. But she's standing to the left of Poe. She's not 3PO's friend. They just met for this movie. It's just ridiculous, man. And this kind of stuff gets people like, you know, Stephen Colbert, you know, shut the hell up, you broken, hateful dweebs. And it gets this kind of stuff started. This is the reason why the Phantom Menace gets blamed for everything. We're the hateful people. It's not just that it's bad movies. And it's bad characters. And you know, it's just bad direction. But it does make me wonder, you know, how much of this movie was actually done with a purpose. It had an overall arcing theme through it. I mean, think about it. Kylo Ren talks to Vader's old mask, the old melted mask, and he says, I want to finish what you started, grandfather. Maybe that ties into what he's going to do in Episode 9, because from what the leaks are saying, he's going to sacrifice himself basically fighting the Emperor. So he's going to try to finish what his grandfather started by throwing the Emperor you know, down a chasm, but he doesn't do that. Rey ends up killing the Emperor. Because you can't have a man and a woman teaming together to fight a great evil. You have to have the man sacrifice himself, he gets thrown down a chasm, and then Rey takes on the Emperor and defeats a man. Well, she doesn't have anywhere near the training that Palpatine did. You know, Palpatine wasn't born knowing the Force. He was trained, heavily trained, by Darth Plagueis. But Rey doesn't have to be trained. If you're a woman, you don't have to be trained for anything. You're just good at everything from the get-go. That's the reason why I don't like these movies. I just think these movies are bad propaganda. Sinister propaganda. And they're going to ruin the franchise. And they're not going to stop people. I don't think Kathleen Kennedy's going anywhere. I don't think Ruin Johnson is going anywhere. I think he's going to get his trilogy. And, you know, just as far as I can tell right now, they're looking for a woman director for the next trilogy. It's supposed to be the Knights of the Old Republic, but now that the guys from the Game of Thrones are off that project, I guess they're still going in that same direction, but they're looking for a woman director for the next trilogy and a woman of color to be the main protagonist. Do they even have a story? Probably not. They're already putting the cart or multiple carts before the horse, and then they wonder, why isn't it working right? See, they're not listening to us, folks. They are not. Anyway, that's my thoughts on all this nonsense. I'm not happy about this sequel trilogy. I'm not going to see Episode 9. I have no desire in the world. I wish I had not gone to see The Horse Awakens, The Last Equine, and I will not be going to see The Rise of the Sky Steed Derby. I'm not going to see that. Anyway, that's my thoughts on all this nonsense, and I'm out. Peace.